Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance for the Indiana Township Board of Supervisors, regular meeting for February 12th, 2025. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? Good. Okay, let's call it to order. First item up this evening would be the approval of minutes. First would be the December 11th, 2024 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, second by Supervisor Newman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Second item up would be the approval of the minutes for January 6th, the reorganization meeting 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 6th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Newman, second by Supervisor Jorgensen. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The next item up would be the Citizens Forum. Would anybody like to address the board this evening? Or Dan, did we have anybody call and register ahead? No?
No, Mayor, can I have them?
Anybody in the room like to address the board? Going once?
And Mr. Kelly, this is for all items tonight?
This is for all items tonight, yes, all items. And it will continue that way.
So, meaning there's not, I just wanna make clear, because I know but there's not one at the end of the meeting.
No.
This is the time to speak.
This is the time to speak. I'd encourage anybody to utilize the business hours and schedule. Okay?
Since there isn't a time at the end, I do have a
Name and
question.
address, please.
I'm Nettie Owens, so I'm a citizen here in the township. So my question is regarding the grant money that we have, that you had secured for the improvements to Emerling Park. Was that federal grant money?
No, it was not.
Okay. Do we have any federal grant money or federal money that could be in jeopardy by the changes in the administration?
I think that would be a question for your manager.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I was just curious, I just wanted to know if we were gonna be affected by that. And I will reiterate my request that we provide live streaming for our township citizens. It is a highly desired, communication channel, and, I'm gonna keep asking that we provide it.
Thank you for your comments. Would anybody else like to address the board this evening? Okay, we'll move on. Development proposals. So, Dan?
Mayor, we have no development proposals for consideration this evening.
You do have in your packet the letter from the planning commission on changes.
So yes, I can address that. So everyone knows, I think at this point, is that the planning commission has put forth a revised PRD ordinance at this time. It has been distributed out to the general public. Chris, who's sitting in the audience this evening, did look at it and did provide some input relative to the calculation for density. That letter was reviewed and evaluated at the planning commission meeting. They did make some changes, and I think in your packet this evening, you'll see a letter from the chairman of the planning commission making some recommendations to the updated PRD ordinance.
Change to the current draft.
Correct.
So if there's no objection, I guess we plan on maybe incorporating those to have it for consideration next month's meeting, and continue if anybody else has any input or items that they've seen. I know I've heard from at least one of you, of the supervisors. If you have anything, please provide that so we can make sure that's addressed during that revision. So
I guess the only question I have is, the changes that you see there, I'm assuming they're not significant enough. Well, I guess they haven't gone to public meeting yet, so it's not.
No, and these were changes that, Mr. Capone, I believe, brought up, and
Brought to the planning commission's attention, they had a meeting, they discussed it, and they determined that these were what they would have intended to do, what
Okay.
they wanted to do. So if everybody's okay with it, then what would happen is we incorporate those in, we'd have another month, ready to do the March meeting, and at that point, the final version of it, if there were no further changes, would be advertised for the public hearing, and then it would go through, its circulation that it does.
So in March, we're voting on the public hearing?
Voting
We
to
can't.
schedule, in theory, you'd be voting to schedule, assuming on the ordinance that would be in front of you at that time, which would include these changes from the
Yeah.
planning commission's letter, and unless there's something else that comes up, that would be it.
So we table this and
Well, I don't know that you need to
we
table.
don't need to do
There's
anything
nothing to
at this
do
point?
yet, but
Okay.
it's the next meeting we can address it.
But if anyone has an objection to those changes, please. let us
And then Dan, you would, have the changes incorporated, repost the new minutes on the website? Or not the minutes, the new
New
changes,
draft.
new draft.
New draft,
Make those two changes.
we could do that once we incorporate those changes, add that, just replace the one that's on there now.
With the new one, yeah.
And have it the revised draft. Okay, that way it would be on there for anyone to see in advance if you're considering it.
Exactly, okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on from development proposals. Can we,
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
thank you, sir.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Jorgensen, a second from Supervisor Hertwig. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, there's no old business, we'll move on to reports of volunteer fire companies.
The next association meeting will be on March 4th, 7 PM at Middle Road.
Ed? Anything else? All righty, thank you. Next up, emergency medical services.
You have the
representing-
reports in the packet.
Okay. All right, Chief of Police.
Each member was given copies of the reports. The only thing I'd like to add is we are participating in an active shooter community educational night, which is gonna be at the Fox Chapel High School Auditorium, March 26th. Starts at 6:30 in the evening till 8:30 in the evening. We are advertising this within the township, and this is including Pennsylvania State Police, Fox Chapel Borough, Sharpsburg, Aspinwall, in O'Hara Township, along with the school police. So if anyone would like to bring that up to anyone in your districts, let them know. This is on our Facebook page, and this is gonna be on the website, and you can register there. So we're gonna use the auditorium. We're expecting a pretty good turnout for this.
Is this geared toward students for like school situations, or is this just more like general public?
It's gonna be a general, it's gonna go over, we go over some of the, school shooting, but this is just active shooter, just for the general public. If you're at the mall or anywhere, they're gonna be going over and discuss this, and we'll have members of all the police departments talking to everyone who's attending as well.
Sounds good. Okay, anything else, Steve?
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Code enforcement, Jeff.
Mayor, other than my monthly report, there's also a year-end for 2024 code enforcement and my year-end planning commission annual report. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Signs of bad cold, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Jeff, I wanted to ask, I know that, I think the last time, we had met, that the, Hidden Falls was completely sold out?
Yeah, I just did my last final of it,
Oh.
last week, last
Okay.
Friday.
So it's
Totally built
It's
out.
completely built out. And the, addition to, remind me of the name of. Heartwood Meadows, yes. And you're out there giving occupancy permits, correct? There's
Yeah.
people living in there?
Yes.
Okay, great. And there's still a handful to lots to sell?
I think I issued 42 permits, I think there's, 6 more,
Oh, okay. You just gave me the.
five or 6 more maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 7 families living in there right now.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Okay, all right, next up, Public Works, Larry.
Nothing to add to my report.
Okay, and Mr. Slagle, engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. So everybody has a copy of my engineer's report in St. Valentine's Day pink, which I have to say is my least favorite color, but anyways, putting that aside.
I bet you Donna feels otherwise.
I know. But you know, you go with the flow. So let's start off with the development proposals. The only development proposal that the planning commission will be looking at will be the Petropalo subdivision. And when I first got it, I had to think a little bit. It's like, I've heard that name, and it's right behind what I used to call the Willie's Tavern there. And then it turned into, I guess it's the Middle Road Inn at this point.
It is, about 25 years, I'd say now.
So this has to do with a 20-foot right-of-way that goes around that piece of property into the Petropolos that are in the back that goes up against Francione Hill Lane. So that'll be discussed at the next planning commission meeting. On the development activities, as we just discussed, the courtyard at Hidden Falls, of course, at this point is 100% built out, as your code enforcement officer just mentioned. The paving has been completed. We do need to do some things on the roadway still. We have not been requested to do what we would call the final matters, which is where we would go out and tie up the loose ends, if you will. That has not started, although the project is 100% built out. Moving on to the Heartwood Meadows Plan Phase 4. As Jeff mentioned, that plan is about 83% built out based on building permits, not occupancies. So at this point, I guess technically they could ask to have that one taken over, but we haven't started the process of final matters yet. Foxwood Trails is no action. Blue Run Road, Jeff and I met with the new developer for Blue Run Road at this point. So our friend from Canada isn't gonna be the driving force there. So we are currently putting together the final estimate. The solicitor is preparing the developer's agreement for that plan.
Who's the developer that's taking over?
I don't have a clue.
Okay.
He did give me his card, but it's not a name that I know.
I
He's
don't
local.
remember
He's
his
from,
name.
Bradford Woods.
I know he's from
He's a
Bradford,
local Woods, yeah.
but I don't remember his name.
I met him, I can't remember the name offhand either.
But Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, this will not be a Ryan nor a Miranda development.
No, it's another builder. That name escapes me also. He's not, they're a prominent builder.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be an upgrade, let's put it that way, is my point. So moving on to Indiana Trails, I'm halfway expecting to see a grading permit application being sent in, but there is no movement on that plan whatsoever at this point. On the old Saxonburg School site plan, Jeff and I went out there and followed up on the final matters letter. We looked at some of the drainage issues, because if the board recalls, you approved a subdivision as part of that in the back there. But there could be some complications that Jeff and I think we've resolved. The Harmony and Hart Runs, there was a follow-up letter that was prepared on some of the deficiencies there. On the Hartwood Meadows Phase 5 plan,
Before we go, any further on that one, any movement on the parking situation there?
Well, that's what he's talking about, and I think what Gavin wants to do is probably take him back to the zoning hearing board for not having enough parking spaces, and that's what we're gearing up for now.
Good.
That's his recommendation.
so we put together a letter, we tossed around some ideas, we did meet. It's in Gavin's, court at this point as to how he wants to point us with that letter.
Okay, thank you.
On Hartwood Meadows, Plan Phase 5, the developer did give me a call and say that he would like to move ahead with that, although there isn't any official movement on that. So we're currently putting together the infrastructure estimate. The solicitor is putting together the development plan, and we'll be pushing that one ahead. On the Hartwood, or the Ottawa Hills, Dan, Larry, and I just need to meet on the MS4 annual report, not till September 28th. But what is important is that DEP has reviewed your submittal to them and they've approved it, which, coming from a government agency, I'm well pleased. Let me just say it that way. The township ordinance update, we already talked about the PRD. The salt shed, if you've been out there, at this point, all the precast concrete structures are up, the concrete floor is poured. Larry requested and the developer approved to put some salt in there based on the overflow. The truss roofs are on, the metal roof, the metal siding, all that is on. There is some punch list items to be done. I have for the board's consideration later on the agenda, estimate number 3 in the amount of $109,103.00. I still,
Is that final?
no,
Okay.
there will be one more. The township leakage investigation, I owe Dan a letter on the Brozick Community Center. Larry and I and Dan need to meet about some different options that we can do there for the roofing. The zoning map update has been completed with all the PRDs as requested by the solicitor on it. So that just needs to be looked over, and Jeff and I are currently making sure that there's no misspellings and all that kind of wonderful things. The People Natural Gas road opening permits. So we've received now 2 additional requests for road openings. One on Bruno Drive and one on Chapel Crest.
Again, to Bruno Drive. You were just there last year and had it all dug up.
Okay, I must have missed that one then. But they are gonna be looking to put the gas line in our road this time. Hence the road opening permit, which is why I got involved. So Larry and I had that on the road agenda to be paved this year. So I talked to Peoples today, and Larry and I kind of took it off the paving agenda this year because I think we can get it done for free pretty much by Peoples. So I figured we'll just let them. So I think what I talked to them about is splitting the cost. Instead of us paying for an entire overlay, they'd have to overlay it anyway, so we'll split it with them. Also, they're coming out in the next month or two to mill out on Highview Avenue. Is that right?
Highview and Ridgeline.
Highview Avenue, is it? No.
Yeah, Highview Avenue.
Okay. Sometimes I get my roads and avenues mixed up. So they're gonna come out, and they're gonna mill and basically repave the majority of that. The reason being, of course, is that we just paved it, the township paved it probably like three years ago, I guess it was. So we gotta keep after that one. And then Chapel Crest Terrace, we just paved that one last year. And here we are digging it up, so obviously they're gonna have to pay to, completely overlay the roads. So we're pushing all those buttons. The next thing is, your manager again was able to secure a $20,000 grant for Emerling Park ADA sidewalks. That'll be down next to the bridge. It's the amount of $20,000. The project was costing a little bit more than that, but what your manager was able to do is to reduce the scope of that to match basically the 20%. So it ends up being almost a no-cost project. And then finally.
That won't build the fishing pier, though, will it?
You know,
No, they wouldn't approve
nobody will
fishing.
bite off on the fishing pier yet.
I got some funding for it, I'm still trying to get some more, but we'll,
Okay.
The
Time
Fishing
will
Game
tell.
Commission, you still have to talk to, they have pools of money for funding things like that. I think it would be a great addition to the park,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
okay.
But, you know, in the line of fishing, I can't get anyone to bite. Okay.
We heard it the first time.
Okay, and then finally, Larry and I did our annual road inspection, and I have the list of projects that we'll be bidding out this year. And then just one that I
Can you
didn't
just
put
go
on.
over for the group here, go over the list?
Pardon?
Can you just go over the list of roads
Oh,
we're
sure.
looking at?
So this is basically gonna be, I guess, what's that area called again? It's not the Republic Avenue area, it's
Indianola.
Indianola.
the Indianola area. So as Larry and I have done in the past, we try to group roads into pockets because every time a paving company moves from one spot to another, it's $5 grand. So we're just gonna try to herd all the cats in one spot there. So it'll be centered in that area. And the reason why I'm kind of staying away from Bruno Drive is because Blue Run Development's gonna come in and mess things up, so, I don't want truck traffic.
And they won't, the trucks won't go down Republic's on the list, so they won't go down Republic there?
We're gonna cut them off from that
Okay.
with the aid of your police department. And we'll just make sure the developer knows he has to come up
Everything has to come in and out of the room.
the other way, yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll beat that road up, and then we'll get the peoples to pave it for free, and the world goes round. The other one that came to my attention was, you remember Diamond Mulch in the recycle center?
Yeah.
So there's some movement there. I haven't seen anything yet, but if it gets hot, we'll, that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
The transfer waste, right?
If they can go up there and visit that,
No, but I'd like to.
okay? If it starts moving, we'll get you on board.
So that may come back?
I don't think it's dead, let me phrase it that way. I don't know what DEP hoops they have to go through or whatever, or what's stopping it, whether it's money, whether it's regulations.
That bridge was a big deterrent, I know. That bridge that was gonna be out on 910, I think that's what they had cited originally being an issue moving forward.
But a lot of exciting things happening in the township.
All right. Any, good, Sarah, good, Paul, everybody good? Okay, thank you, Dan. Really good. Solicitor, Herb.
Thank you, no report this evening there.
Okay, you sure?
Positive.
Okay. All right, Dan.
Hey, we're making a lot of progress with the EMS substation and bathrooms. We've had the plumber rough in for the two bathrooms and a little kitchen, sink, in the EMS room. And, they should have the framing done tomorrow, and we'll have the electrician in next week. And so we'll be ready to, drywall that within another week, so.
Great.
Yes, it's
No,
looking
are they gonna
good.
be staying overnight there or not?
Well, they would be able to. I mean, the idea is there that, when they're using the township building, they've only been here during township business hours. They'll have 24-hour access to their space there.
Okay.
There'll be bathrooms and there'll be a little kitchen area, so they'll have what they need,
Excellent. And are they looking at response times? With them being here,
That has been approved, but that's what was reported by the EMS director. I don't know if it was last meeting, a couple meetings ago. Just the fact that with this, they've.
Yeah, he had his report.
Yes,
That was
yeah.
very helpful.
Okay.
Anything else, Dan?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, all right, thank you. Parks and Recs and Historical.
I should cover for Parks and Recs, you did have listed as 9I, the summary of the revenues from the two, community centers. The Broza Community Center for 2024, had total revenue of $10,070. And, the revenues for the Town Hall Community Center were $28,135.75. Had 240 rentals in the 2024.
Good,
That's all.
okay. All right, no Historical, as we said. Supervisors, District 1.
No report.
Supervisor Khan, we'll wish him well in District 2. He's having some health challenges, say a quick prayer for him. District 4.
Yes, I just received, some comment from some folks who had watched, the live stream. And I just had a few people reach out with questions and excitement about the possibility of funding for the basketball facility. And also some questions, comments, concerns about the Emerlane House, as well as some other historical information, and that's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. District 5.
District 5, so had some folks ask what's going on with the potential crosswalk by Beechwood Farms. It's sort of like the edge of my district, but also by the border of Fox Chapel. I've been in touch mainly with the PennDOT guy, because they're in charge of the signaling and what we would need for a crosswalk. And there's a whole menu of different crosswalk options from, you get the bar, and the flashing light, or you just get paint lines and stuff. The complication is, it seems like everybody I've talked to at Hidden Falls would be the main people using it. They kind of want the area that's actually in Fox Chapel Borough, comes out from Eliza Fox Trail. So I'm working with them. I kind of need their buy-in to know, okay, what do we want here before we initiate the conversation of helping out with grants or funding or whatnot, because, they've got the home field advantage. So don't want to pass the buck up Fox Chapel, but that's actually where we're at. So I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Is Fox Chapel helping at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a couple people on the council, and I think the manager was maybe CC'd on something, but, I think I've got to do a little bit of poking in the next couple of weeks, but hope to get on that, make that happen next year.
How far up the road is that,
From where?
from the entrance to Beechwood?
So, it would be, and this is what's complicating, Eliza Fox Trail, you would pop out, and then you would basically be crossing almost into where the parking lot is, so I don't know how that works in terms of.
That's
the
in the
right-hand
parking
turn.
lot.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you would hit the parking lot, but I mean, that's, people, because I talked about taking it from the entrance to Hidden Falls Development, because that's in our neck of the woods, and people said, well, I don't really like that, and I don't think Beechwood liked the idea of us having people sort of walk on the edge of the road there to get to where the parking lot is, so. They needed a township option, which we could have done quicker, but, it's a multi-municipality venture now, so, better for worse.
That only complicates things.
Yeah, I know, it's so much fun, but we'll see, stay tuned, that's it.
Keep fighting the fight.
I will.
Good job. Okay, District 3, I have no report, so we will, can I get a motion to accept the reports?
I will move.
I will second it.
We have a motion by Supervisor Newman, a second by Supervisor Jorgensen. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And a correspondence from the county.
Yes, we have the required air quality permit notification. This is the first I've got them by email. Usually this is in the certified letter, but nonetheless, you have by the end of the day, Monday, March 10th, for any comments on their permit. So, just wanted to provide that.
All right, thank you, Dan. Any comments? We good? We'll move on to new business.
Yes, Mayor, the first item was and you might have, you remember seeing one of these before. We did the map resolution, but we did it in an amount not to exceed $30,000. And with the amount we approved from Paschik and Associates, I need to increase our local match to $31,146.25. So I'd ask for your approval of that resolution.
I'll make the motion for the approval of resolution 25-02 to authorize the aforementioned application and increase in cost.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Hertwick, a second from Supervisor Newman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
And that's to kick off the comprehensive plan with Westfield, correct?
Yes, yes. And I feel confident about the MAP funding because of the fact that we're doing it jointly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that should start picking up steam this spring?
Excuse me?
It should start picking up steam
Yes.
this spring?
In the next couple months, we should be getting engaged in that, and you'll hear more of it than you want, I'm sure.
Next item, Dan?
Next item is the sewage module, resolution for the sewage facilities planning module for the Saxonburg Boulevard School.
So if I could just chime in, because the Allegheny Valley Joint Sewer Authority is under consent orders at their wastewater treatment plant, any development that requires sewage, any development in Indiana Township has to go through this planning module process. And it's unfortunate because it puts I'm gonna say a $2,000 to $3,000 burden on our township residents because Allegheny Valley Joint Sewer Authority hasn't completed their project yet.
we have two of them on the agenda tonight, so.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-03.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
All right, Supervisor Jorgensen with the motion, Supervisor Hardwick with the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimously.
Next item, the engineer did cover his estimate number 3 for the salt shed project. Ask for your approval of that.
I'll make a motion to approve estimate number 3 for the salt shed project.
I will gladly second that one.
Motion by Supervisor Newman, second by Supervisor Jorgensen. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
And the next, Mayor, is the resolution for the planning module, sewage module for Rosewell's, 2025, resolution 2025-04.
So unlike the prior one that you approved, where it discharges into the Deer Creek system and eventually Allegheny Valley, this one is for as what's called an SFTF, which stands for Small Flow Treatment Facility. So in those areas where there is no sewage available in the township, and it does not perk, if you will, for a septic facility, you're permitting the installation of a small treatment facility that they would operate and maintain. To cover the township's interests, the solicitor and myself will be putting together an agreement with bonding, so that in the event that they don't take care of the treatment plant, that you have an agreement and bonding in place to make them do the right thing.
And is this kind of like what we see with the sand mound type of septic facilities?
One would not be required for those though, only for treatment plants.
Yeah, I believe this is the property off of Cove Run. Yes. It's in an area where they don't have the access to sewage.
How common is this?
I would think that in the township, since I've been your engineer, you probably have 6. The last one was actually approved last year. But as Indiana Township becomes a more popular place to live, and sewage isn't available all over, this might be their only option to gain what Indiana Township has to offer, and building on property out in the sticks, if you will.
It's a glorified system, Paul, whenever there's not public sewage available and you don't have a lot of options for an on-lot system. You have to pay a lot more for an SFTF, but it is an option.
And then where does that, is it a facility?
Yeah, and it comes out to chlorinated water at the end, and it does discharge into the stream.
Chlorinated water in the stream?
Absolutely. Yes, DEP allows it,
Okay.
but it's very expensive.
And who has to maintain it?
The homeowner.
The homeowner has to maintain it, right, and they have to submit their checks and balances every year to make sure it's up and running.
Okay.
Properly.
Thank you.
Well,
Make a motion to approve 2025-04.
Second.
Supervisor Jorgensen with the motion, Supervisor Newman with the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
And I'll ask the chief to cover the next item on the agenda.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I'm recommending the Board of Supervisors approve the hiring of the following police candidates: Zach Saunders and Donovan Rosas for the position of part-time patrolman. Effective date would be February 24th. This is a conditional offer, is based on all the candidates completing all necessary requirements as per the Commonwealth of PA under Act 120 guidelines, and the pay rate will be $24 per hour.
Make the motion to hire the 2 new part-time patrolmen.
Second.
And we have a motion from Supervisor Hardwick, a second from Supervisor Jorgensen. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
And Mayor, the next item is from the last meeting, discussion regarding the operating procedures for the Board of Supervisors meeting. I did include in your packets Indiana Township's current rules in our administrative code, as well as an example of a more recent one that was done by our neighbor Fox Chapel Borough, for your information.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I brought that up. I thought, our board could use that. Public comments are critical. That's why we're here. That's why you good people drive in the dead of winter to come and talk to us. So we want to hear your comments. We appreciate your comments, and we want to ensure that we are following good decorum, certainly from a board, certainly from a community, and how we handle these meetings. So, thank you for bringing that up. I think this, again, just for discussion. If anybody has any other comments.
I just more had a question, because this is very similar to the format that we had years ago. And then we had added a second citizen form for non-agenda items toward the end. And I guess it was, we discussed it at that time, I think, as a way so that our meetings wouldn't get too lengthy for people who were just here for the agenda items. Is there any particular reason why we are no longer going to have that on our agenda?
Yeah, I think that was something that was discussed, you and Supervisor Khan, that wanted to kind of experiment with that. But I feel at this point, I think it's good. You can address, you can call, register, follow the procedure, get on the citizens forum, as anybody should, to talk about agenda or non-agenda items up front. That way good people can come, say their piece, whatever it is, and then they can leave. They don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I
Okay.
just was wondering, why, if that system was working, that we went back to the other one.
Okay. All right, I think that's it.
I mean, I think this is a good refresher. Is there a way to just get this on the website, or just, I don't know, Dan, how are you taking people signing
I
up?
would suggest that maybe if you look at our neighbors, and I can find quite a few examples of that, and more recent ones on the state association's website, of more ones that have been done in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
This is a
And-
great
and-
example you
yeah.
put in our packet.
And there would be some
Very
things
good.
that I could add to that, and I took the time to draft the resolution myself that I have, if you wanna see that.
Yeah.
And it's based on the things I've seen, as I said in the last, anybody who's, when I asked, I didn't want the ones like ours is dated.
Yeah.
For quite a few years.
Yeah.
Those that have done them since the pandemic. And I've got a number of them, and I tried to include that all in here if you wanna pass these down.
No, that's great, Dan. Yeah, I mean, when we get there, yeah, it'd be great. We should probably, whenever we decide upon, laminate it, put it right on that podium so people will understand and see.
So these are your recommendations, Dan?
Yes, actually, I
Based
think that
upon-
there might be some things, if I look at the Fox Chapel example, that some bullets that I didn't include that I think might be worth noting, is they have the point in there, in general, there will not be responses to residents' comments. However, members of council, members of the board of supervisors may provide brief factual information and answer questions if appropriate. Because the citizens forum is really a point to hear the comments. It's really not a debate session for them to question the board and to get answers, but you all have taken the time to actually provide responses, and I think maybe that might be worth noting that in there, like that.
Yeah.
So are you gonna come back with another, I always think it's a good place to have something to start with.
Yeah,
I
so
think we
this
all
is-
agree that this is dated, so we don't wanna really start with what we have.
And if you see anything that you want to include in addition, I'd be happy to make sure that's included.
Okay.
And then that way you can maybe consider the March meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Can you, update with your thoughts?
Yes,
Send it out to the
I
group,
will.
and then, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, appreciate you sending that out to us and putting that in our packet.
I'll make sure that, Alcon gets it too,
Okay.
because I didn't send that out. I didn't have it done for the packet when I worked on the draft. So that's why I only put in what I had.
I think he has more important things on his mind at
Yes,
the
I
moment,
know.
but we will get that.
I'm anxious to hear how things went.
Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, Supervisor Jorgensen with the motion, Supervisor Newman with the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.